Welcome, friends, to episode 339 of Color Magic, your Magic Gaming podcast, where we talk about all types of issues that affect gamers at and away from their gaming tables and computers. I am your host, PowrDragn, and hopefully surviving these crazy heat waves and fires and everything else. Still got my main man, Brian Sonic. How's it going, dude?
It is going, and yeah, I'm talking about we don't go outside for anything unless it is absolute. Tish wanted to go to the grocery store since we were already out after going to the. I was like, no, it's 105 degrees. Bad, and we needed groceries. We're like, no, we're just literally, I would rather get up at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. By the way, I am not a morning person.
You can go do that 10 p.m. shopping.
Well, no, they start closing most of the stores around here because we're in the suburbs. So.
Oh, fair. Yeah, a lot of ours are open until 11.
Like midnight used to be my time to go shopping at Walmart, but now they're not 24 hours anymore. So
yeah, I have a lot near me. They're 11 to midnight at a lot of places up here. So our biggest concern is I thought the air quality was going to get bad because of the fires in Canada.
Yeah,
because that's happened before, but we've actually been pretty good. They haven't been close enough to really cause a problem for us yet. So we've been pretty lucky. What was that?
Canadian wildfires may have cost me $5.6 million. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, really?
Because yeah, I had Freddie Freeman, who I'm talking about almost every time I've used Freddie Freeman this year, except one time. He cashed for me, but they had to move that game because of inclement weather. So I had picked somebody else, and of course, they did not get a hit.
Oh, that sucks.
Ended the streak at 23.
That sucks.
I was not a happy camper.
Yeah, I can't blame you.
I still had 20 some odd games more to go, but that was as close as I've gotten in several years.
Well, we're going to have a lot. This show might be one of the shows where I get people yelling at me because it's going to be that kind of week. So before we get in all that, let's pay some bills and let everybody know, hey, if you want to support us, go over and check us out at Patreon. It's patreon.com/colormagic. You can get extra footage now. We've been loading things for the last couple of weeks. So you can go over there, check that out. If you're already a patron, be sure to go check out the Patreon site, because we will have behind-the-scenes stuff from every episode going up, at least for the foreseeable future. So go have fun with that. You can also potentially get a shout-out, just like Rebecca Klussman, for being a patron. So thank you for that. And if you're going to buy Magic cards, there's a site you should know by now if you're a regular listener. But if you're a new listener, maybe you've not heard us talk about it, but it's manapool.com. You should go by there, buy your cards, because they have a lot of cool features. They have 30 million cards available on their website. They have a cool optimizer to make it easier for you to find cards at the best prices. And then what I've heard from multiple people is even if a card maybe you're trying to get from a certain vendor isn't available anymore because they had bad inventory, they find an equivalent card priced in the system and just send it to you. You don't even have to put in a second order. They just send you a notice saying, hey, this card is out of stock. We found it at this other person. It's going to be on the way. You can't beat that, man. They're really taking care of people and have a great website, good UI. You should go check it out. It beats the competition pretty well as far as user experience, but it is manapool.com. And this is probably where I'm just going to lead us to getting into trouble at some point, because I'm gonna say something people are going to hate. But
Stone Cold PowrDragn.
Exactly. It's going to be one of those moments. But we had another creator, ambassador at that, spoil a bunch of stuff for the set they're working on. And this has happened what feels like every third set or so, maybe every fourth set, right? A couple of times a year it happens. And this time I think it was a German creator based on the screenshots. But he took some what looked to be collector's boosters of the Hobbit and opened them up. And the whole set isn't officially previewed and up until the end of the week, like always, right? When pretty much standard. The last cards show up on Thursday. The official, what do they call their card gallery, has everything in it and live on Friday, right? And I can tell you, as a previous ambassador, that's one of the first things that are pointed out in your agreement.
Well, yeah.
Like, here are the dates. This is the stuff that's embargoed. Don't do these things. Do you understand? Please sign and date here. Like that's pretty much the main basis of the whole thing, right? And you know,
that's
getting your info
standard. Hey, don't. I mean, I've dealt with a million of those with cards, video games.
Yes.
The embargo is here. Don't say jack until after this date.
And it's not that difficult. Like, that's the thing. They're sending you, especially when you're talking about Universes Beyond stuff, you're getting a couple $1,000s in some cases worth of product sent to you to just keep a secret for an extra 4 days, dog. like, like it's not that difficult. But okay, let me. Oh, man, this should have been my soapbox. Honestly, like okay, I'm gonna rant here for a second. But when it comes to this whole, creators spoiling stuff, ambassadors particular spoiling stuff, this is the reason a lot of companies don't work with smaller or unproven creators a lot of the time. And credit to Wizards, they're giving people a chance of all different sizes and whatever. Great. And people were getting upset because you see all the same people doing stuff. So they started doing this thing. This is what happens because people don't know how to do their job. They don't know how to be professionals and they don't know how to keep a secret. Right. And it's not even a secret. It's just hold on to the cards. Like, and you can't even say, oh, well, I forgot. Like, if you put a YouTube video up, you can schedule the date it goes live. Right? That's not even a thing you have to worry about. Hell, I think you can do it even on Facebook now, whatever. You can do it on Twitter if you have a post, right? You can schedule the date it goes live. So you don't even, there's no excuse for making that mistake other than just laziness.
When I had it, I would to make sure that happened. I wouldn't even start a draft because there are other people at the last website I worked that have the ability to push a button. I didn't want anybody to accidentally publish something that was under embargo.
Yep. I'm going to go a step further even. And I'm going to say that pack openings are the laziest content you can even do as an ambassador. I would say as a creator, but for sure as an ambassador. Like you're doing the thing that takes the least effort with no editing or anything, no real planning or thought. You're just opening up packs and going, look at these things I got. Like, what? Like, and you did it too early. You did the laziest thing, the easiest thing too early. Like, come on, man. What are we talking about? Like, it's not that difficult. And I've been an ambassador. Like I said, I've done silly cowboy hats and country stuff or whatever for Thunder Junction. I've done space stuff that I've had it edited and went to the Science Center for Edge of Eternities, right? Like you can do some low cost things and still do very good content with some planning. Like there's no reason for this. And if at some point Wizards goes back to just using bigger creators or more established creators or proven creators, don't be surprised. Like they've given this a chance. They have gone out and worked with multiple people, and this is the stuff that happens.
This is why we can't have nice things right here.
It's literally it. It's why we can't have nice things. I don't know what to say. I know people aren't going to like hearing that, and it's going to suck. But like, this is why. And it's not just Wizard. This is why multiple companies don't do it. And it sucks because we want them to take a chance on people that are up and coming. We want them to give a chance to different people. But you lose those opportunities when people keep screwing up stuff like this. Because it's super easy. There's no reason for this to happen. And I don't know, man. Again, I think the pack opening thing is the easiest content as an ambassador. You're not between that and making a social post, and that's it. I don't think honestly, if I were a company, and especially a card game company, and we signed you up, we're going to work with you for this being promoter of this new set. We give you a preview card to show off, whatever. And you make a social post, or your content is a 45-second, 1 minute short of you just opening a booster pack. Like what? Like you know what else we could have gotten out of that? Right? You know how much effort somebody else would have put in for that? Like hell, even during the pandemic, dude, I can't remember what set it was, but I did one because we couldn't work with other people or anything, and I couldn't go out and go film stuff. I did one of like a video of myself trolling, like an evil me trolling because he intercepted the mail, so he was gonna show the preview to people before regular me got to show it or whatever. It was a dumb video, but it was fun and people enjoyed it, and it was a preview thing. But like, you can find ways to do stuff, right? So yeah, this is just, to me, it's just unacceptable. And don't get me wrong, I get it. Mistakes happen. They do. So I'm not going to hammer people. But on something like that, you literally have one job. Don't put out the information before this day. That is literally all that job entails. You don't have to do anything else.
It is the most important part of everything.
With the meme of like you had one job. Like you literally have one job. Talk about the cards, not before this date. That's it. Like now, you could put out some stuff early if you're being savvy and you're paying attention to what's already been previewed, or you're talking about the set in a way that doesn't have to show off cards or whatever. Fine. You can do it, and there's ways to get around it. But again, that requires some planning and creativity, right? Which some of these people aren't doing. So yeah, like I said, it's going to upset some folks, but I mean, it is what it is, right? There's no reason for this to happen. It's easy to avoid problematic dates. And you could do something like, honestly, the reality is this probably wouldn't have happened if the person was doing more creative content, right? They opted to just open a bunch of boosters and showed everybody a bunch of cards. But the reality is, like, you could have done almost anything else and been more productive. But anyway, let's hop into the soapbox where I have an actual different kind of rant today. And really, what I want to talk about is the glut of trading card games. Right? We're in a peak right now where there's probably more trading card games consecutively on the market than there probably ever have been at one time. And we've had a couple of different boom periods, but this has been the biggest. And I understand where it comes from, right? When you see the Pokemon is selling a record amount of product and Magic's has their like whatever fourth year of growth in a row or whatever it is, right? Of exceptional growth. And you know, Yu-Gi-Oh's new stuff is selling well. And then you see Lorcana getting into the mix, and you know, League of Legends has a card game. So there's a lot of people who get into the market because they're like, oh, we're gonna do this thing better. We're gonna fix the mana system. We're gonna have a better pro tour. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. Not realizing that the games you're targeting and talking about, when we're talking about the big ones, the Magic, the Pokemon, the Yu-Gi-Oh type games, they are the exceptions, right? People don't realize next year, I'm pretty sure Yu-Gi-Oh of those three will be the youngest, and I think it's going to be 25 years old.
Good God.
Like, isn't that crazy to think about?
I feel like I just aged 10 years from hearing that.
Yeah, but that's wild though, right? Like of your big three, that's going to be the youngest at 25 years old. Like that's unreal, honestly, right? Like that doesn't even make sense. Maybe it's 20 years old. Let me do a check because I felt like when did the Yu-Gi-Oh card game release? Maybe it's 20 years. I feel because even for me, I said that and I went, that sounds a little bit crazy. Because even that's a lot. Let's see, first set release. It's like it was in 1999. So yeah, it actually it's older than that now. So look at that. Oh no, the card game was in 02. So it'd be 24. Yeah, it'd be 25 years old next year. So I was right. Yeah. So that'll be the youngest of the big three. Right? That's a long time. And they have huge networks at that point where you're talking about retail stores, singles, tournaments, you know, nostalgia, you know, people teaching their kids to play their favorite games because that's a whole generation, you know, that's passed since then. So I don't think people really take that into consideration. And we've seen so many games come out on Kickstarter that raise $1 million, $4 million, whatever, and those games are gone within 2 years, right? That's not uncommon to happen. And I've had people get mad at me. We've talked about this before where they'll show me a thing like, what do you think about this game? And I'm like, no chance. Right. And they're like, oh, you're just being a hater. This is going to be great. And then a year and a half later, they're like, I should have listened to you. I spent like $2,000-$3,000 on this game and it's already shutting down. I was like, I told you.
I hate to say it, but it almost without even looking at it, you could just because of how the market is, you could almost say that if you were if you're doing a prediction, if you will, almost every time you say nope, it's gonna fail, and you're gonna be right 99% of the
Yeah.
time. Sadly,
And
same thing applies to restaurants, unfortunately.
but I'm even being fair and saying like, okay, this game might be around and live for 5 years, 6 years, even in small pockets or whatever. But when I say it's going to fail, I'm like, yeah, I can't even picture a lot of stores carrying this. Like, MetaZoo, anyone? Like that thing looked like trash from the get go. I don't understand. I mean, I know how because there was a certain creator who was pumping it to try to sell it and whatever. But
I don't even know what that is, and I played the Xena card game.
Take your time to go look it up while I'm ranting about it.
Okay,
It looks like
MetaZoo.
trash. It's exactly how it sounds. Meta
Yeah, the game,
META.
the name is not great.
Yeah,
either.
ZOO garbage. Like, and I know people worked on that game, and I'm apologizing up front because nobody. I mean, I'm sure they worked hard. I get it, and I shouldn't call anybody's work garbage. But man, that game
Garfield
was
involved with this.
It's bad. The whole thing's bad. But we're seeing this more so now again because I think there's so people look at it as easy money, right? And to some extent, I can't even blame the people getting into the market because we have a bunch of consumers wanting to be first to the post, right? Because I want to get into this game before it blows up so I can make some money on it, or I could be the best player at this new tournament series before everybody else catches on, or whatever. So they're kind of just perpetuating this bad cycle of stuff. But we've seen it, like I said, multiple times where they come to the market, have this crazy idea, they have this backing, or they do this big Kickstarter or whatever.
So it still exists, apparently. I thought it was dead already.
Yeah, again, it exists. I mean, there's a lot of games that we can say exist.
The way you said, I thought it was already had come, gone, which I mean, I as I said, I had never heard of it before you mentioned it just now.
Hell, and the pre-show, we talked about the spoils, right? And how bad that was and how it felt. Apparently, they made sets for 7 years. I don't know anybody that's ever seen them, sold them, or played them, but they apparently exist.
And good God, it's apparently headquartered in South Lake, Texas. How have I not heard about this?
And I bet you not a single store in your area carried that stuff for more than a couple months.
Aware of.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying, right? Like, just because somebody hears a name or you see somebody promote a thing doesn't mean it's successful. It doesn't mean it's out there selling everywhere. But I think there's enough of those examples where people do the math and go like, oh, well, we can do this and we'll maybe still make a couple $100,000 before it dies out. And, we'll deep discount the last of the inventory or whatever, and then we'll just get out of it. And we'll just move on to the next project. But hell, we're in a market right now where Star Trek's going to have their visuals on 2 or 3 different games at one time. Right? That's where the market. Hell, there's could be 2 Dragon Ball Z games, I think also are going to be out at the same time. So like it's just out of whack right now.
Yeah, people are just like you said, Paramount. Just hey, if you give Paramount money, they will let you put the Star Trek license on something because it seems crazy to have a digital card. I mean, they'll essentially have 2 digital card games because Star Trek is going to be an arena, right? There's no yeah. So yeah, Star Trek Warp is completely digital. So when the Star Trek set launches in Magic, they will have 2 digital card games in operation at the same time. Because if anybody told Paramount they shouldn't do that, they didn't listen.
Yeah, and it's so much that it's hard for sites with aggregator trying to keep up with all the cards. Or like we even found one that lists 300 games and they still don't have them all in there. Like I honestly think the number is around 340-ish games that exist. And I guarantee you the average listener or viewer right now, I bet they couldn't list half, probably couldn't list a quarter of the games that are on this list.
Right.
Like it's so insane. And
this MetaZoo thing is still blowing my mind. I'm sorry. Like this press release that I found is dated June 26th. So like, how have I heard? And again, this right around the corner from me in theory, I have never heard of this in my life. It's like somebody made this up to see if.
Well, there's another crazy one. Have you've heard of Universes?
Is that the one? Is that the one that has the turtles? Or
no, it's the fighter game one. It used to be UFS, Ultimate Fighting System.
Yeah, I think turtles are in that.
Okay, they probably do have a turtle set, but that's another one I
That one
think
I
is
have heard
based
of.
based in your area. Actually,
I've never played it, but I have heard of it.
I'm pretty sure they're in the Dallas area somewhere. Let's see,
Yeah, they got solo
Universes.
leveling, Street Fighter, Attack on Titan.
Yeah, they have a bunch of different ones. Uh, yeah, I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure they're based in the Dallas area. I'm pretty certain. But again, that's another one that it's still around. They're still making sets, but I mean, if you went to 10 game stores, you'd be lucky to find one that carries it,
Right?
especially if you're outside of their area, their home base. If I go into any stores around here, I don't know if I know of a store that carries it. Right? That's how flooded the market is. That there's games like this that have a long list. I mean, this game's been out since 2013. No, even before then, 2005, maybe 2006, somewhere around there. But they're still making sets today, apparently. There's still stuff out there.
Yeah, the
So
Turtles joined in August 2025. Yep, I
there you
thought I'd
go.
seen that somewhere.
Yeah. But most people probably never heard of it or even seen it, right?
Right?
That's how crowded this market is. There's a lot of companies that their card game products are just barely getting across the line. Some are barely profitable, right? Enough that they can pay for their licenses and do their stuff. But even with licenses, this shows you that you don't necessarily get to be a big blockbuster game, right? Like this is like you listed off, right? There's Ninja Turtles, Street Fighter. Hell, I think they had like Yu Yu Hakusho in there. They have Mortal Kombat, right? Cowboy Bebop, I think, was one, right? All names people in the nerd space have heard of, probably never heard of this game. Right? That's just the nature of where we're at right now. That's why I'm at least looking forward to something like Cataclysm Arcade because they're not licensed. They're not starting out of we're going to do this big grandiose thing. We're not trying to outdo the mana system. We're not trying to. There's like we just made a fun thing, and we have a whole separate gimmick that you can play out of a booster pack, and then we'll just see what happens. And they at least have a plan for getting into retail stores. I think that's the other place where a lot of these things on Kickstarter fail because they're like, we're going to raise all this money, we're going to get this out to players. And it's like, okay, but how do you find new players if the stores aren't going to promote it and sell it and show it off or run events at conventions or do all the stuff that LGSs do? And then you get stuck with products that die very quickly. So, yeah, anyway, that's my rant. Be very, very careful of new CCGs if you're going to get into them because 99% of them don't last very long. And the ones that do, you're not even going to be able to find players to play them a lot of the times because the average store is just not going to carry them for a variety of reasons. It's not even, and the truth is, a chunk of these I don't think are necessarily even bad games. They just don't have a plan that's going to get them far. And that sucks.
I mean, like I was saying, if you are betting, and as a retail store owner, you are essentially betting your livelihood on these games. You're not gonna lose much money going. Nope, not gonna buy that. Nope, not gonna buy that one. 99.9% of the time, I hate to say it, you're gonna be right if you just say no. I'm not carrying that game. It
Hell,
sucks, but
I would go a step further and say if I still had my store today and something just went huge on Kickstarter as a card game, unless they have a plan for retailers to be involved or a reason for you to come in and buy it, I'm not necessarily sure I would even carry it because there's no money to be made in the first set. The people that are super fans are really interested already bought it. Right. So where's my opportunity to make money? Right. That's one of the biggest flaws that I don't think people consider. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna step off it and give you a little time.
yeah, we've been following Sony and our digital video game future here, and just so happened we had it was supposed to be a big beta for Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls, which is kind of a fighting game in the genre of it's a tag fighter, so very Marvel Capcom and inspired by games like that. Also, there's supposed to be a double XP weekend for MLB The Show, the big baseball game, and lo and behold, the PlayStation Network went down sometime I think Thursday night, and so for much of Thursday, Friday, it was just completely down, just in time for what is supposed to be a big hit coming in August for the beta to launch. And man, just This is what our all digital future could, in theory, look like. Because it's great. Look, I get it. Most people aren't buying physical games anymore, but in so many cases, some of these games have to basically, even if you have a disc, sometimes they have to log in and get an update. Like I have a FC26 that I bought. Did It wasn't part of any of the beta or anything. This is the actual game that I own, and it hasn't worked since Thursday night. I can stream it, but in terms of actually launching the game that I bought and have installed to my hard drive, I still can't get it to work. I'm probably gonna have to uninstall it and reinstall it because I don't know what's going on with that. But again, because it happened Thursday night, I'm pretty sure it didn't get an update it was supposed to get because that timing is, I'm sure, not coincidental.
Yeah, and we've been talking about this, it's if you want to be able to just get on and play your game. But the problem is when now we're downloading it to where we can't, hell, in some cases, you can't even download your stuff to your own thumb drives or whatever, depending on what it is. So you're having the product you've downloaded, it has to be locked to the device. To use it, you have to get on for a live service option of some kind, right? And just like you don't own anything, as we've also seen, they could also take stuff offline at any given point and you don't have recourse.
Right? Stuff you bought, like PlayStation UK, a bunch of people just lost a library of hundreds of movies and TV shows that they bought on the PlayStation Network because Sony apparently lost a lot. Like Terminator 3, I think, was one of them. You get several TV shows. I think again, a library of over 200 things. And hey, yeah, we're sorry. We know you paid for that. Yeah, you don't got that no more.
You know what? This is one of the things that if I could actually run as a politician, that I would try to get a bill passed. That like, if you're going to charge a consumer for something, then they now own the right to use that something how they want. Right? Like if you pay for a thing, I got to be able to download it so I have access to it at any given time. Right? Otherwise, I paid you for a thing I don't own. I'm paying literally just to borrow something. I was not even indefinitely. I only get to borrow it as long as I pay for the service.
Right.
Because the minute I don't pay for the service, I don't have access to it anymore. So it's like, yeah, just the lack of ownership and autonomy on all this stuff is really what's bad. And we just keep entering a space where consumers have to pay more to own less. And that's not good for anybody. Well, I mean, it's good for the corporations, right? But it's not good for any average person.
As somebody that's been alive for a couple of video game industry crashes, it feels like we are on a bad path right now. It's just a lot of what we're seeing just does not appear sustainable. Again, we have a ridiculous amount of layoffs, which we'll get to here. Some of it here in a second. Grand Theft Auto is probably had to do entirely too much heavy lifting for the video game because for a game that is supposedly the game is supposed to be the greatest game ever. It's supposed to be coming out in November. It's about to be August. We've seen almost no gameplay. You see anything?
Mm-hmm.
You know what to be? I know we're going to be stealing cars, but beyond that,
yep.
I
had
know
that
nothing about
thought
what they're going to be doing in
recently.
this game.
Yep. It's funny you say that because I had that thought recently of, man, I would think by now we'd start seeing some promo stuff, some interviews, some, dribbling some stuff out to some creators to show some stuff off.
Like, what can I do in this game that I couldn't do in the previous, 5 Grand Theft Autos? What's new? What's hot?
Also, randomly, pre-ordering digital stuff is also weird. Unless they let you get on the servers to download stuff early, they're not going to run out of digital downloads. Like you don't need to give them money 3 months in advance.
But people do. It's been so bizarre.
Yeah, I don't get that at all. But I'm with you. If it's one of the reasons we've talked about, these games recently that have been major hits that have been $5, $12, $7, and doing very well. I get why Steam is still doing so hot compared to some of these consoles, right? Because it's cheap to get on. You can access it anywhere. Hell, now that you can have mobile stuff on Steam or whatever with all this stuff working, it's like, why wouldn't you want that? Especially now that building a PC is equal or less expensive than some of the consoles now. Like, so I'm with you. We are in a weird space for the current console generation.
And sadly, a lot of us, we were conditioned by the by GameStop and other game retailers. Hey, you better reserve Madden. You won't get Madden. You're not gonna run out of Madden.
Bro, there were multiple times I was out at midnight standing in line for Madden. Like, for real. Like, but I thought about that not that long ago. I'm like, on some of these games, it makes sense. We're like, hey, because you pre-ordered, you'll get access to download the files like a week early, whatever. Fine. So when it goes live, you're ready to go. But for games that aren't doing that, what are you pre-ordering for? Like, you're literally just giving them a 3-month loan for no reason, because you'll be able to just download it on the day of.
FOMO. the whole FOMO thing has infected every type of gaming at this point.
Yeah, it just makes no sense. But yeah, I'm with you. That whole situation's rough. But all right, let's talk about what we learned this week, because mine is kind of silly, honestly, and yours is sad.
Yeah.
But kind of on the same point, thinking about things like Grand Theft Auto or whatever, right? Or Diablo 4 when that came out recently. Like, we think about the big releases being in the fall and the winter when it comes to video games. And I guess somewhere along the way in my brain, I just kind of shut off that, like, oh yeah, we get big releases the rest of the year too, which I know that happens, but it's not on top of mind of like, these are hot times to release. So I just did a quick search and I was like, what games actually released around this time in previous years? So I just went and looked on this day, and there was a bajillion games, as it turns out, are released on this actual day throughout history. But even Pokemon Crystal, Echo the Dolphin, Soul Calibur 4, Dragon Quest 11 were big releases that came out on July 29th. And this kind of just reinforced to me that, like, oh no, there are big releases that happen every summer. We just don't think about it because a lot of them are just focused on the fall and winter and getting the Christmas sales or being part of big launches for new consoles and all that other
Game
stuff.
Awards. You think about the Game Awards now,
Yep.
because it's the end of the year. Like, oh, how are you? Are you going to launch in time to be eligible for the Game Awards? Is also a big thing, especially for us reporters.
That's true. That's another big push, right? And I think that just shifted the logic. But it's like, oh no, there are other things throughout the year that are definitely quality. Because again, those are all classics. That's why there's a bunch of others, but those just quickly, when I went down the list, like caught my eye.
And now the big one is, since EA Sports has brought back college football, you can't run up against your own release in Madden. So college football drops in July because, hey, y'all.
Also true.
It's almost time. This is the last month without football until February.
Yeah.
We're already here.
We are at that point. That's true. So yeah, I don't know. I just found it interesting. Like, don't sleep on other releases throughout the year because there are a lot of big releases. We just focus so much on the last quarter of the year for some reason. But yeah, what do you got, dude? Because like I said, yours was a little more depressing than mine.
Yeah, we always talk about how, when they start laying people off, it's always from the bottom. It's never top down. And this is one of the most egregious cases of this I have seen in basically 2 decades of covering video game stuff. Battlefield 6 launched last year now. Incredible game, great reviews. They outsold Call of Duty for the first time in literal decades. That was the assignment. That was the mission. Call of Duty had been eating Battlefield's lunch for quite literally 20 years. This team figured out how to beat Call of Duty. Oh, by the way, half of them are going to get laid off. Battlefield will pretty much never do better than this, in all likelihood.
I'd go a step further and say that Call of Duty was beating them up and taking their lunch money to go buy lunch and ate it in front of them.
Yeah, it was embarrassing. I'm talking about, I have lost count of the number of for everybody that plays this game. Anybody remember EA Gun Club? Yeah, that was the thing.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's when they were still trying to push Medal of Honor as the alternative to Call of Duty. I'm talking about for 2 decades. They've been trying to beat Call of Duty in sales and in critical rating. Did both of those things by a landslide last year. Half the developers that worked on this game are still about to get laid off. Oh, by the way, CEO Andrew Wilson will cash in a $38 million bonus, an increase of $8 million, largely due to the success of Battlefield 6.
You know what though? This is sadly what we see at every company,
Right.
right? We've talked about it before. Like you by law, you shouldn't be allowed to have a record sales year and still lay off 1,000 employees. Right? Like you shouldn't be able to say everybody in our C-suite is getting a 30% bonus that's already in the millions,
Right.
but we got to cut 500 jobs. Right?
You
Like, that
hit
just doesn't make
every
sense.
milestone, including milestones you have been trying to surpass for decades. We're just not hitting it again. If you can't hold jobs with these numbers, you never will, because again, it took 20 years for this to happen. Will they beat Call of Duty next year? Who's to say? Especially if they keep laying everybody off, probably not. It just is
And
unreal.
and that's the tough part, right? Like being good at your job and still not being able to keep your job. Right? Like I think that's because like, hey, if somebody's barely getting by or they're always calling in sick or they're always okay, cool. I get why if you have to make cuts, that person's one of
Yeah.
them. Right. But when you're the person that's Johnny on the spot, you're leading all the team stuff, all your stuff you're involved in does well. You're always getting the high ratings on your reviews or whatever, and you're still let go. It's like, what could you do? I've had a job in the past where I redid a whole department, like got everything up to par, I got everything more efficient, and then it was like, yeah, but we're going to restructure and we're going to go a different way. I don't need you anymore, right? And it wasn't just me; there was other people that were let go too. But it's just like, yeah, you did the job right, you did it well, and they just go, I don't need you,
Right.
right? That can happen.
I brought a newspaper back from the dead, which a lot of newspapers have died. I'm going to guess probably less than 10 have ever resurrected. And still, like, no, that was not enough to save my and eventually anybody else's job. And it's just, when back to Battlefield or video game industry in general, when a game comes out and it fails, if nobody buys it, okay, we all just sit around. I'm ready to write about the layoffs because everybody that works there knows they're coming in this environment. But when you crush it, when you knock it out of the park, you're not expected, hey, yeah, half of you are out of here. Again, as we said, nor should you have any reason to expect that. You can't. How can you do better than record breaking? You pretty much can't.
You know what I hope that we see what's happening in some of these other studios where these developers go, you know what, fine, we'll just do our own thing and start making our own damn games and put them up on Steam.
Right.
Like I hope they get something out of this. All right, let's hit up a few different topics because we have some things to hit on this week. I kind of had a little footnote here, but the Hobbit release, kind of coming back to the stuff with the ambassadors or whatever, some of it is also because this release season has been very weird for the Hobbit. Like it's been kind of feels a little scattershot. Some of the days where people were posted on Wizard side of like, hey, this is how stuff's going to come out, and then the stuff people were releasing were on different days. Granted, I don't think that's the creators' fault or the people who got the previews to show them. I think it is just that's what they had in their agreement and stuff maybe didn't get updated on the website or whatever. I think we've seen weird things where I think like the box toppers for a bunch of the cards were previewed before the regular versions of them were. So that was a little bit of a thing. It just felt disjointed. And again, I don't know if this is because it's a universes beyond thing and there's agreements that certain artwork has to be featured, or I don't know, because of some other promotion tied to Lord of the Rings or Hobbit, certain things have to be shown. It could be anything, right? As to why this happened. But from the outside looking in, it does feel a bit disjointed. And I don't know if could it just be certain people at Wizards needed to be doing certain things or not doing certain things, or does the companies they're working with not have stuff organized? No way to know. But it just feels very weird compared to how kind of orderly, consistent, whatever a lot of the other releases are. And it was randomly 2 weeks. And I didn't really understand that because it is a smaller set. I believe 220 cards as opposed to 300 cards or whatever. So that also feels weird that we're taking a whole 2 weeks to show it because we've done other sets in 1 week. So I'm not really sure why the Hobbit was 2 weeks. So yeah, a
I
lot
guess
of weird
technically
stuff
3
there.
weeks since we went a week early.
I mean, maybe I don't know. Yeah, it's a little weird. I don't really get it. In other news, though, related to Magic, Wizards of the Coast specifically, John Haidt, their CEO, is stepping down, and that had people obviously speculating, "Oh my God, something's probably coming, and there's going to be some bad news and whatever." Well, no, they just had their quarterly reports, and the numbers are very good for Wizards and Magic, so it's not that. And they did say, in everything I've seen report on it, they've all been consistent and said he's still going to be with Wizards of the Coast as an advisor to Wizards and Hasbro. So he's not going anywhere. He's just not going to have the title of Wizards of the Coast president, which is a little weird because people are like, then why is he not still going to have the thing? Like, what happened? As a reminder, this dude came from Blizzard initially, and Blizzard obviously does video games. It may just be a possibility. Well, really, and this part's speculation, so take it for what it is. I feel like it could be one of two things, at least with just the information that's available. They could have brought him in to lead digital things and whatever. He got into the position, and he may not just like the idea of trying to lead a physical first company, right? Might have sold them on the idea of like, hey, we can push these games into the digital age. I have experience in this. I have connections, whatever, which would make sense. But Magic, obviously, and D&D are still making a lot of money on physical products. So he just may not feel that, hey, after 2 years, he may not feel like he's bringing enough to it. But as an advisor, we did see a lot of the reports reporting that he has been involved with the other companies under Words of the Coast that do video games, and he's had a lot of input there. It also sounds like I think one of the canceled Black Panther game, one of the Wizard studios had hired a bunch of those people, and they're working on a thing. So it's possible he may be leading up some of these other projects still, and why he's there as an advisor. Or my other thing, again, speculation, but it's possible he has a vested interest in some outside company or entity or whatever that is helping with these video games or wants to be part of something to do something big digitally. And it would be weird professionally for him to also be the president of Wizards of the Coast and be involved in this other part of money making and whatever. It would just may not sit right with a lot of people. So I could see that as well. Could be also be neither of these things, right? It could just be people positioning and moving folks around or whatever. But it's not because anything he did was wrong. Right? Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro are making a lot of money off of Wizards of the Coast products. Right? Everything we've seen says that. The sales say that. The quarterly reports say that. So this isn't about him failing at his job necessarily. But we'll see. They did say they're already looking for a replacement. They expect they'll have somebody soon. But yeah, nothing overall seems like either side is mad at each other. Nobody did anything to get fired. It's like, yeah, seems fine. Like, I think people just want to make everything a story anytime the head of a company leaves. It's like, there's got to be a crazy reason. And it's like, no, sometimes people are people. Sometimes they get offers. I mean, you pointed out that Blizzard recently got rid of somebody.
Or I think Xbox,
Xbox, yeah. So is it possible he's potentially looking at a different position in a digital space that he feels more comfortable in? Maybe.
Or they're like, please, John, please. A lot of stuff is effed up over here. You don't understand. You got to come back.
Yeah, it's possible. Microsoft might have just made him an offer quietly, and he went to his bosses and said, hey, I'd love to stay on as an advisor, but it'd be weird for me to take this other position and still try to do stuff at Wizards or whatever. And they might have all agreed to that.
$1,000. Please help us.
Yeah, I don't know, right? But yeah, nothing here seems like there's anything negative or shady or whatever. This is just people being people and probably taking different opportunities that work best for them. And hey, somebody else likely from within Wizards is probably going to get promoted to this other thing, and like we'll see what happens. Other interesting news, when we talk about lore not hitting sometimes, well, they might have had one that finally hit for Magic with Strixhaven's Omen of Chaos. We saw a post on, I believe it was Blue Sky, from Sean McGuire, who I think was the writer on that, said he was excited to announce that they are actually going to a fourth printing on this book. Now, again, we don't know what the print numbers are. So who knows? All right. It could be 2,000 copies or it could be, hell, a ton of copies, right? Like, I don't know. But I don't think they printed any less than they've printed in other recent Magic stuff they've tried to print.
Right.
And most of those don't go to a fourth printing. So this has been a success overall for them. Now, maybe this is a start of you found the right writer to become one of the lore keepers for Magic when you want to write this stuff. And maybe that's it, right? I mean, because for a long time, and I'm looking at some of the books there on my shelf, but you had like the Forgotten Realms books and things like that. You know, D&D books pretty much had a handful of writers that everybody knew, right? That wrote the best stories or whatever. So maybe this is Magic's foray and like, okay, we
And I
got.
think that's how most licensed properties are. I think if you go through like Marvel or DC at any given time, there's usually 4 or 5 writers that are really kicking. But heck, back in the Stan Lee era, it was probably 2. It's like everything was either Stan Lee or Jack Kirby.
Yeah, Ditko maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm with you. I think maybe that's just the thing. Magic hasn't had their core, and maybe this is the first step in that direction. I don't know. Could be a coincidence, could be a one-off situation. They just happen to strike gold with this one. But if you're thinking about checking out some Magic lore, this might be one to start with because it seems like it's doing very well. And even under his posts, people had mentioned, "Oh yeah, I went into my local bookstore and I saw it on the shelf or whatever, and I realized it wasn't a first printing." And so it's definitely out there in places that aren't even your typical nerd spaces. So people are carrying them. The other thing that is an interesting one we kind of get to end on here is something we talked about before. Is if we're going to be doing Universes Beyond, we need to keep doing crossover promotional efforts, right? So everybody wins on the deal. And I remember when Avatar came out, and they had, if you wanted the Uncle Iroh card, you had to go to a box lunch store. And if you bought, I think it was like $40 worth of merchandise or something, you got this card. But they had t-shirts, beanies, mugs, jerseys, like you name it. They had a whole display of stuff of Magic and Avatar crossover stuff. This time, for Avengers Doomsday, if you go to a Regal theater and you sign up for their Regal Club, whatever they call it, it is free, so you can download their app and just sign up, which is good. You get a promo copy of a Doctor Doom card when you go watch the movie. Now, it's going to be an existing card. It'd probably just have a different skin on it or whatever.
And it could obliterate you with a single thought, whelp.
Yeah, exactly. But this is pretty cool, right? And this is a situation where everybody wins, right? Marvel has more Magic nerds that are going to go see the movie. Regal Theater gets you sign up for their thing so they can try to send you promo offers and get you reminders to go to the movie theater or whatever. And Magic wins because we're getting cards into people's hands and maybe they'll check out the card game, right? This is the type of stuff you need to be doing if you're going to do Universes Beyond. So like I'm all in favor of this. Right. I think this is a good idea. It's low cost for everybody involved because like the app already exists. Printing just, one card on the printer so you can send some stacks to each theater not even every theater, to just Regal theaters, right? Isn't all that expensive for them. So it's an easy win for everyone. It just makes sense.
Doom's going to be everywhere in December, and I cannot wait because I've always loved it. Who doesn't love Doom? It's into Marvel.
Yeah, Doom with a real good actor, too.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, going to be hard to miss on that one. But all right, dude, when you're not doing the show, where can they find you?
You can see me over on YouTube at Age of Wagers as I restart the streak.
Yeah, that's tough. You got to start that one over. You can find me everywhere at PowrDragn, PowrDragn. And man, there is so much stuff coming, some big announcements on the YouTube channel, and some new fun stuff. So go follow over there so you don't miss anything. But as always, wherever you are watching or listening, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Please remember to take care of yourselves and your family. Remember to be awesome. And most importantly, be awesome to each other.